Hi, my name's Harry. I'm the Head of Defensive Security Services here at JUMPSEC, and I work closely with our detection and response team to run our managed detection and response service. The talk I'm going to give today is about our journey in adopting Sentinel to be used as part of that managed detection and response service, some of our experiences that we've had in adopting this approach with our clients, and some of the challenges that we've faced and some of the solutions that we've pushed out to address those challenges. When we started adopting Sentinel, we faced a lot of the same challenges many security operations centers or SOCs do. These challenges were compounded by the fact that we were running a one-to-many service across multiple environments. Previously, we'd been using on-prem SIEM and SOAR technologies like Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana, which led to some significant management challenges and resiliency concerns. SIEM, by the way, refers to the security information and event management tooling. So where is the data stored? How is it stored? How is it queried? The data in this case being relevant logging. SOAR, meaning security orchestration, automation, and response, commonly used to refer to response automation. We really had to get this migration right. A gap in the visibility could lead to missed compromise, and weak automation could result in high operational overhead, dealing with a high influx of alerts. So we took a step back and we looked at MDR as having kind of 5 main work streams. This includes detection and response, threat hunting, incident response, continuous improvement, and stakeholder management. SIEM and SOAR tooling impacts how much effort and how much value we get out of each of these work streams. And in my opinion, continuous improvement is the big differentiator on what great MDR looks like, as it's the vehicle to configure and set up those SIEM and SOAR solutions. As with any tool set, the SIEM and SOAR solutions we picked would only work as well as they're configured. This is where Microsoft comes in. I'm sure there's a fair few people listening to this that already know about E5 and about Sentinel, but for those who don't, E5 is a licensing SKU that Microsoft offer. It's part of their Microsoft 365 cloud solutions, including Office, but it includes a number of different security solutions. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for Identity. It includes Entra ID P2 licensing. Each of these has a number of really critical components to delivering an MDR service, but any security monitoring service should look at. These security solutions year on year have been improving, and reports from organizations like Gartner are reflecting that sentiment. However, we at JUMPSEC acknowledge and point out that there are gaps in the Microsoft capability that they offer, and that those gaps should be addressed selectively with other solutions. And this is really key to our approach. When it came to the SIEM and SOAR solutions though, we chose Sentinel. The integration points between the technologies that come part of E5 and with Sentinel are really strong. And KQL, the query language used in Sentinel and a number of other Azure technologies, is one of the best query languages available at the moment, and it's a big competitor for things like Splunk or LogScale. Microsoft provide a huge number of templates for analytics rules, detection rules, right, that can give you a massive head start in covering a lot of the common day-to-day security concerns. And there's a really healthy ecosystem of automations and other templates available. So if you're an internal security operations team, there's a lot you can do quite early on to really kickstart your security operations center. So we picked our SIEM and SOAR solution, and we knew that it had all the capability that we needed to run the service that we wanted to run. As we were rolling it out, we came across kind of 3 main challenges. The first being cost management. With any SIEM and SOAR solution, storage and processing costs are a big factor. On-prem, this was deploying a server, running a high-spec server, it was maybe hardware. However, in the cloud, this shifts into consumption cost. So how many gigabytes you bring in a day. Now, cost management does not need to be diametrically opposed to security concerns and security value, right? Planning what you're going to collect and what you need to collect and what detections are important provides far better security value and a lower cost overall and this became really key to our approach. Comes back to out-of-the-box value for Siemens source solutions. If you don't plan it, you're not going to get the same value out. When it came to the data connectors, Sentinel has a content hub. It's basically a store within Sentinel of Microsoft approved connectors and content, including analytics rules, dashboards, workbooks, and watch lists. When it came to data connectors, Sentinel has a content hub, which is a store in Sentinel for Microsoft approved connectors and Sentinel content. Sentinel content being analytics rules, workbooks, watch lists. There's a huge amount of data that you can enable, but it quickly becomes unmanageable without some prioritization based around the risks that your organization faces. It helps a great deal for this to be driven by threat modeling or attack path mapping. Lastly, there are two kind of closely related challenges: detection engineering and case management. Creating new detections is a big challenge for any security operation team. What do we already detect? What do we need to build detections for? How do we build it? And case management, once you're done building those detections, starts to become more and more challenging the more alerts you see. So with some of these big challenges out the way, let's talk a bit about what the solutions are. Our Sentinel onboarding process is the best illustration of these solutions that we've taken to address those challenges. First of all, we'll start from zero, so we don't enable everything at once. We'll start with the alert and incident connectors, we'll start with the free connectors, and then we'll work on handling the information we get from these first to better understand the environment and to baseline on what normal looks like. Then we'll look to build problem and incident management automation. What this means is we'll start to push the alerts and incidents we get from Sentinel into your ITSM tool. We'll also push it into our ticket management system as well. We do this for the whole MDR service. This lets us get a many-to-one approach on seeing all the alerts and incidents that surface in our client environments. This lets us do trend analysis, and it lets us identify historical findings to better improve our time to response. Then we'll start to enable the data connectors, and we'll enable them incrementally, meaning one by one, building detections as we go. We prioritize as well based on risks that we've identified. This might be done through attack path mapping, it might be done through threat modeling, but we start with the ones that have the highest value from a detection perspective. Typically this is Entra ID. What we then start to do once we've covered the basics is we'll start to tailor detections to your organization's risk. At this point, we should have a pretty good idea on what normal looks like, and we should have a pretty good idea on what your business critical systems and processes are. What we'll do is we'll build and bring in new data sources outside of the scope of the Sentinel Content Hub, and then start to build detections to address them. For example, you might have a custom business application that is underpinning a critical process in your organization. How we build detections for that can be hugely variable. We might look at the integrity of certain files, we might look at logs and process information for that app, or you could be concerned about customer account compromise. How would we detect that? We might have to work with the developing team on how that product works or how that site works to better understand the logs available. It's this approach that has really enabled us to go beyond where typical MDR goes and really start to tailor detections to what's relevant in each environment. And it's an approach we've taken so far with really strong results.